into practice, which is the whole goal of having a degree, because if you can't practice, what good is it to have a bunch of straight A's if you can't apply anything? And so I was telling my colleagues yesterday about that. And so we have to write this report, and that's what I'm putting in the report. And I've really noticed a huge shift with you guys, and I just wanted to mention that. So you may not know, but I see it. So that's one of the behaviors theories is this, or the behaviors type of therapies is REBT. So what I did with her was it's something called biodecoding. It's where we try to get the person connected to their body. It's also known as experiential therapy. And this is a very big thing right now, is to get clients to feel. Most clients don't feel. Most clients think. And talk therapy has been primarily about thinking, cognitive, changing the way we think. But the way to heal a wound, or at least to process a wound, is to feel it. And so that's why I had her say to herself, because she's saying that anyway, just because you don't say something out loud doesn't mean you're not thinking it and it's not being heard by your inner child, okay? So now we have this imperfect body. Imperfection equals pain because we come from perfection. So now we have the perfect setup for pain and pleasure. And so we've got Venus here. This symbol is Venus. It's a symbol of the earth. It's a symbol of the feminine, but it represents the body. Okay? And so now you've got, from here, you've got two types of people. Pain is pleasure. These people love to suffer. They inflict suffering. And then you've got people that are pleasure as pain. So I'm obsessed with the show Lucifer. I just finished it last night. And I really recommend it to anybody who's taken any of my classes or has seen me as a therapist to see it. Because it's all of this in a show, and they kill it. They show the whole fight between the demon and the human and the divine nature, and how we self-inflict punishment. I mean, they really do an amazing, amazing job. And one of the things that you see quite a bit of is this suffering. When you misbehave, when you're not perfect, do you impose suffering and pain on yourself? Yes. Yes. Because what do you say? I'm a piece of shit, I didn't finish that, next time I'm going to do more. Instead of 30 minutes of exercise tomorrow, I'm going to do 45 minutes. One of the things my daughter and I talk a lot about is when you're exercising, that you have to start and end like on the 0-0, or like right at the 30 minutes. You can't do 31 and a half, you have to do like 32. Like you have to finish at that 0-0, because it's got to be the perfection of finishing right when. And I noticed this the other day when I was at the gym. You're supposed to do 60 minutes, but the last like 2 minutes are just stretching, and I needed to leave because I had to get to work. And I left 2 minutes early, and I noticed I didn't beat myself up. But in the past, I would have been like, oh my God, I didn't do those last 2 minutes. I didn't do 60 minutes, I did 58. That's different because
you cheated yourself.
You cheated, and all of this, and that negative self-talk. And that negative self-talk is the love of suffering. So, why do you think the Catholic Church uses
the Ten Commandments?
God. I was going to say robes.
Jesus nailed to the cross? Here he is, very peaceful. Jesus nailed to the cross as an image of suffering.
Because.
Well, they say it's to remind us that he died for our sins.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
what they say.
That's what they say. But what is really, when you see this image of Jesus, has anyone ever gone to see the Passion of the Christ either reenacted at a church or in the movies. Okay, so when my kids were little, I used to take, like, how fucked up am I used to take them to this church on Good Friday that would do the Passion of the Christ reenacted. And at Christmas time, I would take them to this Christmas show, and the first half was Christmas music, and the second half was the life to the death of Jesus. And in both instances, so twice a year, my kids were exposed to this shit. They would see
My
Jesus
best
get
friend
the
did,
shit
too.
beat out of him, okay? Jesus represents us. Why is Jesus the symbol of us? What does he
Because
have?
he has divinity. He
Okay.
has
And what else?
duality.
He has divinity and humanity, what I call it in my book,
He's dual.
and he's dual.
Yeah.
So was Jesus perfect?
No.
Impossible.
Right.
Impossible. The moment someone has a human body, they are not perfect. They are flawed. He was dual just like all of us. What does Jesus on the cross really represent?
Us punishing ourselves.
Us punishing ourselves for being what?
For being non-perfect.
For being non-perfect, for being human. That's it. That's the whole story. And I would take these poor little tiny kids to see this guy. Obviously it was fake.
Yeah.
But to get the shit beat out of him, I've got to ask my kids about that because that must have traumatized the fuck out of them. I mean,
I don't know why they don't put this picture up.
no,
instead,
no,
of
like-
course. No, because that's us at peace. That's us connected to our divine nature. And no, we beat ourselves up. Go ahead.
My mom, right? You've gone into the house. You saw the Jesus that she has hanging up, right?
Which one?
The one that she has, the one that has his face looking like that on the wall.
Mm.
The
I don't
one
think I
made
saw
out
that
of wood.
I don't think
out
I
of the
saw that
wooden
one
portrait.
by all
Well,
the
she has
statues.
one, and he's like looking, and the look is very mystical. It's very, serene,
Peaceful, serene,
peaceful. And so every time she says something, I look at him, and I'm like, "You heard her, right? Just you heard her. We got you. You feel like." And I do the whole like, we got each other. And it's like every time I look at him in that picture, I know he sees, I know he feels, I know he's watching. You feel me? That's just my
Your belief,
spirituality,
absolutely.
you know? But what I'm saying, and that's what I've always been trying to tell my mom, that Jesus, yes, he's the Son of God, he was sent, he has a whole story, but this is what he truly was.
But when you look
but
at him
she
and you
can't.
see his serenity, and you hear
Yeah.
her say something off the wall
I know.
ridiculous, and you're connecting to his divine presence.
Yeah.
And what you're really doing is connecting to your divine presence, to your
And you
divinity,
feel at
to
peace.
your wholeness,
You
to your
feel-
soul.
Right, and it makes me at least feel at peace because I'm like, you know what, I wasn't wrong, but I'm gonna just let her keep talking. Like,
Right, and what
Yeah.
you're doing in essence is saying, I'm not going to take her negativity
Yeah.
and badger myself. Why do you think they beat him?
Right.
What you're doing is saying, no, Jesus, I am going to connect to my divine nature, to my whole nature, to the part of me that's maybe imperfect, but the part of me that's perfect and divine and understanding what all of this is about.
Yeah.
And so if we did more of that and not beat ourselves up and not enjoy suffering so much and not enjoy pain so much and not we're so trying to be perfection, then we would connect much more with our divine and our humanness wouldn't be so bad. All of a sudden, all of our bad buckets, which is our shadow, okay, I have a shadow, I have that dark wolf living inside of me, I have these negative qualities from my parents, but it's okay because I'm supposed to, because I'm flawed, because I have a body, I'm supposed to. But instead, we have self-hatred. and we hate every aspect of ourself that isn't perfect. So I have a client who has herpes, when you mentioned the herpes. And she texted me the other day and is like, I hate myself for this. And I wrote her back and I'm like, it's because it makes you imperfect. It's because it makes you human. And so in essence, what we hate and why we inflict suffering and pain on ourselves, bad relationships, not doing well in school, whatever, not having the job of our dreams, not doing the things that we really want to do, is because every single time that we don't do what we really want to do or achieve what we really want to achieve, we're basically saying, I don't deserve it, I deserve to suffer, I deserve to inflict pain on myself, and I hate myself. And so the other day I was watching Lucifer, and he gets to the realization in his therapy session that he hates himself. It was beautiful. Oh my God. I was like, ah! Like I cannot believe whoever wrote this, they killed it. They are like in my head. And is anyone watching the show?
I've watched it.
Okay.
It's really
What?
I'm kind of stunned.
You have to start. It's phenomenal.
It's really good.
So, and it gets really better like in third and fourth season.
Yeah.
So he gets to the point in his therapy where he realizes, I hate myself. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, because most clients don't get to that point. A lot of clients do, but most clients, it's very difficult for them to really understand that what they have is self-hatred, not hatred towards their parents or hatred towards someone else, and that they're inflicting the pain on themselves, and this is why their life is the way it is. And what starts to happen is he starts to become his devil self more and more and more. It's as if the moment he identified his self-hatred, he was able to show his flawed demonic self and devil side. And a lot of times that's what clients do. Well, if I'm so bad, then I'm going to show you how bad I am. If I come from a bunch of alcoholics, well, then I'm going to be an alcoholic. These people are pleasure as pain. These are the people that indulge in the pleasures, but it's the pleasures that bring them pain. So this self-hatred could go both ways. And depending on the client that you have, you're going to see one or the other. Did you have a question? Oh, okay. So when he starts to show his true essence, and he's very much like this, because he's always having orgies, he's always drinking, he's always smoking, doing drugs. That's very much the pleasure is pain. So that was something that you lived for a while with your lifestyle. Yeah. So you could see both sides of the coin of people. And oftentimes what will happen is people will see their bad buckets, their qualities of their parents that aren't great, and they say, fuck it. If I come from flawedness, if I come from these losers, if I come from this, then why not just be the same as them? And then from there, we get this. And so these are people that oftentimes have like this hedonistic lifestyle. They're the people that don't miss out on anything, that are always at the parties, that are always at the latest openings. They're doing everything. You look at them and you're like, oh my God, I want to have their life, because they're constantly out and about and doing and going and here and there, and they know everybody and they name drop and they're on Instagram and they're showing you how great they are. Those people are pleasure as pain. And usually what you'll see, if you have them do the buckets, you'll see that they are very much in alignment with the bad bucket, where people as pain as pleasure tend to be more in alignment with the good bucket. So I'll pick on Samantha a second, just because she was our client the other day. She was saying how she didn't drink, she didn't smoke, she didn't go to the club, she went to the mall. And those are the quote-unquote good qualities. Those have to come from her parents somewhere. There has to be an element Of Dad, I figured,
Mom
because
did all
you're,
of that.
I figured that, because your alliance,
And
wherever that
Dad, when he
poster
was
is.
18, went straight to the army, so he's different.
Okay, so her alliance
Dad.
It's like
I think-
fourth one day.
is with the father. And the mother is
Child.
the pleasure, the mother's the child, the mother is the one I can't be anything like. But what did we see?
She's
In
very
class.
much like Doris.
Very much like Doris. She wanted it solved like Doris would solve it, but that is flawed. That is bad. That is not something I want to associate myself with. So therefore, I'm not going to do that. I can manipulate to perhaps get someone to do that for me, but I don't want to associate with that part of myself. Okay? Now, James. James is very much pleasure is pain. So even though his mom raised him and he loves his mom, who is his real alliance with? His dad. And his dad did what to him? His dad left. His dad was a partier, was a mujeriego, was all about. So when he connects to his pleasure, that's his self-hatred. He hates that. That's why he always says that he goes into his hermitness.
And I think in part for him, right now going through the divorce or whatever he's going through, because with James we don't know what he's
We
going
never
through. I feel like that's a big part that he's dealing with, as far as his own personal life. His dad leaving them, now I'm leaving my kids. Like,
Interesting. Now, my
I
understanding,
just-
and I don't
I
know,
don't
is that
know.
he didn't leave, that she's the one who left him.
She wanted the independence.
That's my understanding. But you're right in the fact of the mirror. At
Right.
the end of the day, the result is the
it's
same.
the same, right?
So how does a client like that overcompensate to not be their father?
They stay.
They stay with the
which
kid,
is-
and
which
he's
is-
obsessed
and
with his
he-
kid.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
He's
yeah.
obsessed with his kid. I will drink and smoke to oblivion.
Yeah.
I will drive drunk. I will party till the cows come home.
Yeah.
But I will be the best father possible, because that's going to be the way that I ensure that I am not my dad. But there's a fight in that person that is like, am I my dad or am I not my dad? Which part of my dad and my mom am I going to assimilate? And it's not until we assimilate it all, it's not until we accept all of it, the good and the bad, the dark wolf and the light wolf. So it's not the one we feed. It is the one we feed, but the only way to get the 48 to 52 is if we feed them both, or we assimilate them both, or we have them both show up in our life. And recognize sometimes we win some, sometimes we lose some. Sometimes I'm a model employee, and sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm a really great kid, and sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm a really great friend, and sometimes I'm a piece of shit.
That's why lately, like when it comes with the kid, with the kids and stuff, I always try to overcompensate for what was never done for me. Always. So I'll beat myself up. I didn't spend time with them. That's why yesterday I was like, you have to do this one thing with each of them, even though I was tired as shit.
Because the minute that you are not close to this,
I'm that.
you become this. The minute. I learned this like 17 years ago when I was the dean at another Kaiser. I even created a song. The students were obsessed with getting A's. All they wanted was A's. They didn't care that they weren't learning. They just wanted an A. Think of the letter A. It's rigid, it's straight lines. But look at the letter B, has round, C has round, even D has a round. A and F, 0 to 100, are all straight lines. This is the only thing that has some roundedness. And I created a song, I don't remember it now, but I was like, whatever, I would sing it to the students. And I would let them know that they weren't failures because they didn't get an A, because this is A, and this is F. But the minute that you don't get an A, you're what? Somewhat closer,
Stupid, a failure.
somewhat closer to the F. And most of my students had gone to Miami-Dade or BCC or some other school before coming to Kaiser and had failed. And all it did was remind them of when they failed. So if they didn't get an A, regardless of learning, they didn't care if they learned or not. It was about the GPA. And I would tell them, you don't wear your GPA on your name tag. Imagine a medical assistant who doesn't know how to draw blood.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if you have a straight A.
Right.
If you don't know how to draw blood, you're gonna freaking bruise my ass.
Yeah.
What do I care what GPA you have?
No wonder
Can
why.
you do this? Practice. Forget theory. That's why I said theory to practice. You guys know practice because you have been sitting in this class for a year doing it. That's why it's so important and why I stressed to students. Yesterday we had orientation. I begged the girl, I said, please come to class. If you can, no matter what little you get something. And you heard Allison the other day in Masters saying that she feels like she's not learning anything because it's just theory and theory and theory. FYI, the mental health counseling got approved
Okay.
online. She's working on getting it on ground, but at least we're one step closer.
Okay.
So.
I actually going to that, like now, I still want my A's, don't get me wrong. I still want that D
Of course.
valedictorian.
And she
base.
still wants to finish all 10 items on her list.
So, but now the way I look at it, coming to class and stuff, like yesterday I was drained. I'm talking about that I was done. I did my final, my post, everything yesterday. I just lagged it. I was like, fuck it. But, I now told myself yesterday, I'm like, it's okay if I get a B. Because I tried. I did everything possible. And if I don't get that A, fuck it. At the end of the day, I learned my shit and I know my shit. I don't care if I get an A.
So that's
but,
maturity.
but that right there, yeah.
That's
now
growth.
yeah.
That's 48 to 52. That's balance. It doesn't mean that you're not going to try to be the best friend, the best child, the best parent possible. But it allows you to say, wait a minute, if I can't go to the tippy top of the ladder and I fall short a rung, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's maturity.
I have a suggestion for your list, because I do this to my daughter, because I try to help her prioritize, and she's got, I got this, and I said, let's write it out, and what's more important. So for your list, 2 things, make it shorter, and prioritize. If it's more important for you to spend time with your kids than to clean the kitchen, then put them on top, and maybe not list the kitchen. Maybe today I won't put that on the list today. I'll put it on tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, and that's a wonderful suggestion, is ask yourself, what is it about leaving the kitchen dirty that is, look at she has a visceral reaction.
Oh yeah.
There is a link to her identity, her quality of a mother, a woman, a wife, whatever it is, a human being, linked to having a clean kitchen. That's a very Latin thing.
And it is, and I can relate to that, because I'm one of those people. And I call it pseudo cleaning, because my friends will come in and say, your house is always spotless, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
My-
No, it's not. The floor is dirty. So what I do is I pseudo clean. Pseudo meaning, not exactly what it's supposed to be. So if you can do that to yourself and almost trick yourself, it's like, if it's important that the dishes be clean, or that the counter is clean, or that the kitchen table's not cluttered, if you could do those things, then you almost trick yourself. Or if anything falls on the floor that I cannot stand, it has to be clean right then and there.
Or there's cookie
But-
crumbs right where I just wiped.
Or
and you're
cookie
like,
crumbs.
"Ah."
Yeah, I can't stand that either.
It drives me
But-
nuts, and I'm just like,
but I'm
kids,
not
why do you do
gonna-
this to me?
But I can trick myself and say I'm gonna wipe it, but I know that I have to mop. But I don't wanna mop right now, but if I don't see it, then it's not in my face and I can deal with it.
I leave the room now. Now, before, I used to wake up first thing in the morning and clean everything and then spend time with them. And then the kids were like, well, why do you always clean before you play with us? And then we play, and then we make a mess. And then you get mad, and there goes the fun time, and I'm like,
Yeah, you just throw me off.
I know, and I'm just like,
Open up your notebook.
I don't have a pen, I have a cigarette.
Wow, that's funny.
Paula will lend her a pen.
Oh, God.
And
That's
I want
horrible,
you
he's
to
absent.
write down what it says about you when your kitchen is dirty.
I know where
Write
that
it.
comes, but I know where it comes from.
Write it. Doesn't matter if you know where it comes from. Knowledge does not equal behavior change.
What does it
If
mean?
knowledge equal behavior change, then doctors wouldn't smoke and no one would be fat and everybody would be healthy and we'd all be great.
Oh, yeah, they know it's bad, they just don't give a shit.
It's not that they don't give a shit, it's that there's something behind it, and it usually has to do with pleasure is pain, or pain is pleasure. I will suffer, I will force myself, I will create this in my life, because I don't deserve the benefits of good health or whatever. So what does it say about you when your kitchen is dirty? And every single one of you can do this with your own OCDness, with whatever characteristic. What? The kitchen cleaning?
Oh my God, and the problem is, you know when you bake, or you pull out like a brownie box, and you know, oh God, you gotta go get the powder, the flour, the everything, you know it's gonna be like in the movie, it's like, if I pull out the brownie box, you're not doing that now. Why? I want brownies. No! And hold it back as far as she can get it, and I'm like, I have friends over, can we make brownies?
Look
No,
how
it's gonna make a
interesting.
mess. She doesn't wanna start the mess. And it's like, I can clean it up after, like I can do the dishes.
But look how interesting. Samantha has been very vocal about the fact that her preferred parent is her father,
Oh yeah.
okay? So the mother has a lot of room for improvement in the daughter's eyes, not uncommon. If her mother would allow her to make a mess and make the brownies, that would score points with Samantha. Yet, the mother has such an identity, brownie points, that's funny. The mother has such an identity around a clean kitchen that it supersedes the fact that her daughter wants to make brownies and will make her happy if she
I
makes the
wonder how your
brownies.
mom grew up.
That's
Did she grow up in a dirty house?
Well, first write your,
Yeah. She didn't live with her mom. Her mom got tired of her, so she kind of kicked her out. So she stayed with her grandma.
Oh.
Her grandma let her do whatever the hell she wanted. Like she got married at 18, then got divorced. That was funny. Was not with my dad. And then got married to my dad at like 19 or 20, and then brought her back to the U.S. and they've been together for 40 something. But
That's so sweet.
that's why I'm 19 now. So she looks at me like, you're not getting married, right? I packed a bag the other day because I was going to sleep over at my friend. She's like, are you moving out? My dad started cracking up from the kitchen. I was like, I'm sleeping over at a friend's house. Moving out? I'm packing a backpack.
well,
Like, a
but we
backpack.
only have our lived experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why do we have fear?
Yeah, why
You can't
do
control
we
it.
have
We have fear because we've already experienced it. Fear isn't about the unknown, that's anxiety.
Okay,
Oh.
but how about
Anxiety
if I
is
see
the
a ghost?
unknown. Fear is the known.
I'm actually,
But tell me this, why is it, knowingly, that my mom knows I smoke, and we've gone through this a hell of a time, like, why is it that I still fear her
Because
if
you
I
know
go
exactly what's
outside
coming.
and smoke a cigarette
Because you know
during
she's
the
gonna yell
day?
at you, insult you, tell you you're a bad mother,
You
blah,
don't
blah,
wanna
blah.
hear all that.
That's gonna spiral
No.
you into I need to get
No.
the hell out
You
of here and
know
move
why?
out. And I'm a loser because I'm not independent. and-
Because you smoke.
You wanna
And
know
your life
why
story.
I honestly feel the fear is her kicking me out again.
Okay,
That's
again,
again.
again,
That's
because
the-
you already
no.
experienced
It's not even about, oh, you're a bad mother, you don't give a, my son knows.
Perfect. Again, you
It's-
said
it's
it.
yeah.
Fear is something you've already
That's some
experienced. That's why I said.
Were we not connecting off about that
Those
yesterday?
students already failed.
You're
They already know how it feels to fail a college class.
Wait, so.
That's why they were so hell-bent on the A. Anxiety is when you don't know the outcome,
Okay.
and that gives you anxiety
That answers my
of what's to
question.
come in the future. So I was on a date the other night, and I get anxious. I get very anxious. I have all this social anxiety that I never had in my life. No, it's the weirdest thing. Because I've never been in these situations. I've never really dated before. I've never been in these situations, and I get a lot of anxiety around social circles, which is so weird because I'm an outgoing person. But I do have anxiety.
I find it common though in most social people. And most people that are social, they have the anxieties in cases like that. Like you're so outgoing, but then when you're in that position, like,
Because you
What she
don't
does
know
for a
what to
living.
expect.
like thinking about us going out, I'm gonna dance, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm like, no, I'm gonna freak out, I'm gonna stand there with my drink.
Because you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to expect dating. I don't know what to expect at a club, because I've never clubbed. I don't know what to I'm like you in that respect.
Someone take her to it.
I mean, the first time I had a drink, a
Yeah.
real drink, was at 45. I mean, I have not,